Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever the case may be, wherever you're tuning in from for another episode of Redfellas. Random times, random weeks, random days, but the same old panel. As you can see, I've got some of the old timers, the golden children of the Redfellas, I may add, to join me to talk about the glorious Reds, the mighty Reds. Every week we're so happy and privileged to watch these Reds right now. It's a great time to be a Liverpool fan, and it's a great time to talk all things Liverpool. So, welcome everyone. As none of your business says, smash the likes for the unbeaten Champions League Reds. We'll be talking Champions League Reds. We'll be talking Premier League Reds. We'll possibly be talking League Cup semi-finalist Reds as well coming up. We'll be talking Harvey Elliott. We'll be talking Ibu Kanate. We'll be talking Chiesa. We'll be talking everything Liverpool Football Club related. Leave your comments, smash the like, ask us anything that you may want to speak about, us to talk about, the opinions, share it. We may argue with you. We may hate you for it, but you're allowed it. I've got Keith in the building. Keith, it seems like it's been too long since we spoke about Liverpool. And it kind of I miss talking to you in these situations, in these scenarios, because I feel as though you're one of those Liverpool fans that I always turn to when things may not be going well. There's always a ray of sunshine. And just when Liverpool are an absolute ray of sunshine, you've not been about.
I know, I've not been about. I mean, Liverpool's ray of sunshine has probably been the only ray of sunshine I've had over the last couple of weeks. Traveling the world got taken to a halt because, unlike Liverpool, my Achilles just couldn't hold on and they snapped. And now I'm a one-legged man.
Oh my God.
On crutches, so...
Well, I know you was telling me, I know obviously about what happened, but maybe give a quick 20-second a story to the viewers and subscribers, because obviously everybody wants to know what happened to Big K.
Yeah, man. Big K got too excited and thought he could still be doing squat jumps and sprints at the grand old age of 35. And once I landed on one of the squat jumps, I landed on someone behind me and it just went crack. And the minute it went crack, I felt like Christian Benteke for Aston Villa all those years ago. I just dropped to the floor and that was game, set, and match. One of the funniest things that happened, though, was we got the ambulance comes to pick us up, and these like small Thai men, they're tiny, bless them, and they put me on the bed to kind of wheel me out. And the geezers are taking videos of me like they just captured Godzilla.
Oh my God.
They've never seen a man so big in that ambulance. So some content for them. Unfortunately for me, it's not been great.
We need that footage.
Yeah, I've been trolling around.
Get on it. There'll be enough people with enough connections. Get that footage of Big K getting.
I'm telling you, man, and people maybe not understanding the context. Big K is actually Big K. So when he's in a country like that, where probably the average height is probably comes up to his hip, then yeah. It's very worthy of recording and making videos of, because it's like they've caught Bigfoot, not Big K.
Yeah.
So that video, we need to get it. Whoever took that video, please forward that video to us where you've got Big K or Bigfoot. That's the question mark of the video. Yes. Big K or Bigfoot.
Who did they capture?
All's well that ends well. We pray and hope you make a full recovery, sir. And it's good to have you back, because, as I said, when Liverpool are doing well, it's always good to hear your perspective, because you kind of forecast it. And then I always cuss you when it doesn't happen. But then I like to praise you when it does happen as well, because,
Grizz, on that note, I do have a tweet. There is a tweet that sums up exactly what you said. It was the Ryan Gravenberch tweet at the start of the season. That will always stick to me. I remember I tweeted you and I said, Ryan Gravenberch, he's the answer. And you were like, I hope so. And we're now here where we're talking about him being the best midfielder in the world. So, yeah, plenty of positivity coming from me today. I can't wait.
Good. Cav, we never tire of talking about Liverpool, but especially when they're doing well, it just gives you almost dare I say it, and look, we're not players, so we're allowed to say what we want. We're just fans. We have absolute no effect on the mentality or the attitude of the players. Like, an attitude of a fan base is different. Like, it still should be different, but it doesn't affect on the team, on the pitch. And what I've noticed about us is, and I tweeted it yesterday, Cav, we're actually making very good teams look very ordinary. We're almost making it, like the infamous Jason Cundy said, we're making it look very easy and boring.
Yeah, no, exactly that. And that's testament to our new gaffer. That's testament to the players for being able to produce such good results and performances. I say results first because there has been some performances where you'd hoped for better, but actually we managed to find a way of winning. Yeah, do you know what? You see, we play every few days, and between the games, you could focus on some of the stuff off the pitch, maybe contracts, lack of signings. We are actually in a transfer window, believe it or not.
What's one of them?
Yeah, who knows? Feels like so long since we've signed somebody. Transfer window, lack of activity, contracts, lack of activity, fans starting to over question things. You see some rumors about FSG and their other sort of ambitions and how that may impact Liverpool. But one thing that's remained consistent for the whole of this season is when we get to game time, it's like business as normal. Liverpool play well, the football is enjoyable, and more often than not, we win. Like you said, Grizz, making it look easy. So that's really the most important thing, is that Liverpool are in a good moment. They seem to be remaining in a good moment. They're rotating their squad, and we'll talk about loads of details of yesterday's game. But the end result is quite often Liverpool win. And that just makes everything else feel so easy, both in football perspective, and we were talking about how in our personal lives, the impact Liverpool can have on us. And at the minute, it's having such a positive impact because it's a bit of a shining light in some of our lives. So great moment, trying to enjoy every moment of it, and just can't wait for the next game to come because I just love watching this team at the minute.
Yeah, you're spot on. Keith, he's spot on. I mean, obviously you being sort of bedbound for the next whatever, you're really consuming it all. This is kind of obviously the negative side of being injured and sort of not being able to do other activities. But when it comes to just lounging and intaking everything to do with football, it must be a dream, as I said, from that aspect.
Oh, mate, absolutely. I got the sick note written now. The wife can't tell me anything about, when Liverpool play, I ain't going anywhere fast. So it's all hands on deck. No, and you know what it is, obviously we've been through this for many, many years with Liverpool. Some would say, Grizz, since you started the channel, we've just continued to trajectory on the up, mate. So you know what I mean? It must be good luck charm us talking about Liverpool for so many years. But what I've just loved about the whole scenario is that everyone's just been very professional. This is the most important thing that you can have in football these days, is that regardless of contract scenarios, regardless of issues that maybe we see off the pitch, we're just getting professional. People are realizing I'm still getting paid by Liverpool every month, right? I'm getting paid to do a job, and I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. And I think one of the saving graces, Trent aside, is that there's just not been Salah and Van Dijk could have really, their agents could have gone out even before January and touted them to Kingdoms Come. Right, we really, other than the Trent rumors that started to bubble up at the start of the transfer, which was more Real Madrid push, we've not really seen anything pushed by the players' agents or from the players' side, and we've not seen a lot of disruption coming in because they're well within their rights to. They're open to being able to sign contracts, so you have to give them credit for that. They're acting. They're actually. It's all good saying I'm a leader of the group or the captain of Liverpool, but sometimes actions speak louder than words, and I feel like definitely with Mo Salah, with Van Dijk and Trent to a certain extent, by not talking maybe has helped a little bit. Actually, by not saying anything at all, it's kind of helped show that they're putting Liverpool first. And even though I know there's a lot of content on Twitter and people can argue, well, Salah says Salah has been doing this since he made a phone call back. Did you ever see that video back in the day when he was in Egypt? and he called up the show and he was like, listen, you know, the owner won't let me out of my contract. Salah is very honest and open, but he's professional and he's showing his leadership
Oh,
skills.
he's the ultimate professional.
You know what I mean? And this is really, really, really benefiting, because those three we need more now than ever before, because the rest of them are still pups in this game. Let's be real. They're still pups. You know, the League Cups, all they've won. They've not had the experiences that our elder statesmen have had. So, you know, it's really good to see that they're being professional, and in response, we're getting performances week in, week out.
Yeah, I think we're all kind of like Graham here. I know he's chosen to ignore all the off-field chat and just to enjoy the ball, old school. Like all this sort of involvement in contracts and opinions and sort of off the field issues is a new phenomenon, isn't it, Cav?
Yes.
These kind of issues and problems have always been there. Like that's but it's never been as chatted about or debated about so much, and it's obviously because of social media, maybe, or I don't know. What do you put it down to? Like, why is it so prominent? Why is everyone an accountant? Why is everyone an expert in sort of how transfers are done and, you know, what we need and all this kind of thing? Like off-field issues are always contracts, you know. Give them a 2-year contract. No, he deserves a 4-year contract. Like, this is such a new phenomenon, isn't it?
Yeah, a lot of reasons really. Player power is one thing as well. You know, you look at the impact that the best players have on football as a whole, and we want to keep them best players at our club. You know, we always say it's always the badge on the front, not the name on the back, but that gets tested at times because we fall in love with these players in footballing terms, and we don't want to see them go elsewhere. And you know, especially when you're a top team like Liverpool, you feel like there isn't a better place to be. So it's a little bit of like a bit of a blow to the ribs when a player moves on, because you kind of think, why would you want to move on? Why would you want to leave here? Look at what we're doing. Look at how great we are. But, you know, people do for various different reasons. I think football fans access more information now than they probably did back in the past. A lot of the information is probably false, made up, but it's there. It's information to go off. It's you talk about, you know, social media, Grizz. There's a lot of people on there that have information that is shared, and there's people on there that make up stuff, and it gains attraction and it gains conversation and it forms opinions. And back in the day, all you do is watch limited amount of broadcasters, a bit of coverage on the game, move on. You talk to your mates in the pub or whatever, you know, and that would be it. And that's where it stops, and you go about your business. Now football's all consuming, so it's a good thing so long as you remain level-headed, so long as you can intake information, process it correctly, and be yourself. Don't be afraid to enjoy moments. Don't be afraid to be emotional. Don't be afraid to get wrapped up in it, and enjoy football for what it still is. Football is still played on the pitch. The business stuff, yeah, you can look at figures, you can look at numbers, you can look at transfers. All of it is secondary. All of it plays a part in what is ultimately the most important thing, is just watching your team win, you know, and you want to see that glory at the end of the season where they lift silverware. So yeah, it's just the times. We shouldn't I don't think we should be too negative about it. We should just embrace it for what it is, to be honest with you. Things evolve, things change, and that's just where we're at. But it's nice because Liverpool are kind of at the forefront of all of that. You know, we uphold ourselves in such a brilliant way. You know, I really think, you know, obviously biased as a Liverpool fan, but I'd like to think if I put like a neutral's hat on and looked at all the clubs around Europe, all the clubs in England, I think Liverpool are so brilliantly ran, but they carry themselves with such prestige as well, such class at times. You know, even the way we play football, it's not dirty, it's not aggressive, it's not in any way you could describe as cheating. It's just really good set up players that work hard, got a good harmony. We have a no dickhead policy in the squad, and it just seemingly is a real standout model club, as it should be, as the biggest club in England. Arguably, you can have your own, you know, people in the chat will have their own opinion on that, but the most successful team in England, they should carry themselves with that class. And it seems like Liverpool are again. So yeah, it's a great time to just be here and be enjoying it and embrace it all.
LFC Super One sends in a super chat. Thank you very much. He says, anyone reckon we might make a move for someone this window? would love an out of the blue signing. To be fair, I would just love a contract announcement. Big up the Redfellas. Yeah, look at the tone of the super chat. Do you reckon we might sign one? Oh, fuck it, man. Just give me a contract announcement. That would do. But no, listen.
Not even the big three. Just give me like an Ebu or a Diaz, or give me something. You know,
something. Give us something, because the
I take a
momentum.
Jaden Dan's new contract at this point. Just
anybody. But I thought it was interesting, by the way. I saw like a theory, and it was an interesting theory, you know, that maybe some have agreed, others have not. And maybe the idea is it's making the announcements for some, but not others, will put pressure on others and create more, you know, upheaval within the ranks themselves. I thought that was an interesting theory. In terms of signing anybody, I'll be really curious to know the extent of Curtis Jones's injury, because that looked like a groin injury, and it will be really interesting to see what the timescales are on that. Because again, if it's a long-term injury, you know, that could spur the club to make one of their, you know, what do they call it again? Their
Opportunistic,
yes, opportunistic signings within the market. And you never know what could happen, what clubs might sell, what clubs might buy, what clubs are going to need to do. I'd be very surprised if we made any moves unless, you know, someone picked up a significant injury. So yeah, the Curtis Jones one's going to be interesting, what comes out of that from the Slots press conference. But other than that, it's tough when you're a manager and you're basically, your mantra has been this: I have a great squad of players and I have fantastic options and they're really, really good. And so it's really tough now for Slot to be saying the way he's spoken about this squad since he joined the club. It's almost been like it's a privilege for him to be able to manage this group of players.
So many good players.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he's come from Feyenoord and he's had to let players go, you know, similar to Klopp when he was at Dortmund. He's had to let his best players go just as they were hitting the peak. Maybe they weren't necessarily world beaters. He's come to this squad that's challenged for the league last season and is this good. And I feel like, you know, he probably sees it as, I'm not going to push too hard at the moment because A, I really like what I have, and B, it would make me sound like a bit of a hypocrite if I just decided to go in and start signing 3-4 players in January to improve something that I don't think needs that much improvement. So, you know, it'll be interesting to see in the summer what happens. But for now, I feel like Slot is super happy with what he has.
And it's not something that he's saying now. Like, we heard all summer, as soon as he stepped into the club, or not as soon, but like sort of as soon as he had a look at his squad after America, when he came back, he was asked situations about transfers, whatever. And he said, my God, I love the quality of my players at my disposal. And any new manager that comes in obviously wants to see what he's got at sort of there and then, as opposed to what he can get. Excuse me. And I guess, Cav, he's been a man of his word. He said, I've got immense quality. I can't wait to work with these guys. And it's only fair that he's given them all a chance rather than bringing players for now.
Yeah, but that's in my opinion, that's the right approach to take for any new manager stepping in, is evaluate what you've got, give that enough time to see if you can get what you want out of those players, if you can get your ideas across, and then start to tweak. And that tweak might just be bringing in certain players and letting ones go that you don't think are going to fit your style or your, you know, anything that you see the club progressing with. So I think it's the right approach to take. Luckily for us, he inherited a really good squad, and a squad that's got, you know, quality and depth, a squad that's got experience of winning, a squad that's got, you know, leaders there now in Virgil and Salah and Ali, but also have emerging sort of leaders as well. You can look at maybe some of the players that are captains for their international teams and stuff. You know, I think Gakpo's like a rising leader, if you like. You've got young talent with ambition to take, you know, to develop their game, and they almost provide the youthful fearlessness and energy in the squad. So we always talk about strength and depth, which Liverpool have, but we have a variety of personalities and qualities, and we have a variety of age groups and stuff. And just as a complete 25-man squad, he's inherited, you know, a really, really great thing here at Liverpool. So it's sending the right message that he doesn't need to go out and spend to get what he wants. He can work with what he's got, and then hopefully it'll be nice this January transfer window, but hopefully the summer he starts to adapt it. Some things might be forced with the contract situations or what have you, but it's instilled in us, and I think, I don't want to speak for everybody, but it's nice to see that he's been able to work with what he's got, because he showcased to me that he's that intelligent, that he can see what's laid out in front of him and work with it, figure things out, whether it's from game to game, whether it's in game, he can figure things out. And I'd rather have the man that's capable of working stuff out rather than the man that needs every tool perfectly aligned to be able to win. And I think the not signing people and working with Scott has presented an opportunity for him to demonstrate to us what kind of guy he is and what kind of what his intelligence is like, his footballing knowledge and everything. So I'm all right with it, and it'll be interesting to see what the next signings will be, because the balance of the squad will shift if the likes of Trent, Virgil, and Salah do move on. The players coming in, you've lost 3 really big figures, and then the people that coming in aren't going to have that kind of stature in the game. So the dynamic of the squad will change. People will have to step up, and he might have to, change his sort of delivery a little bit, because he ain't got big dogs to he ain't got his generals around him. He's going to have to, motivate these players in a different way, or show a bit of stronger leadership maybe. But that's just evolution, isn't it?
But interestingly, on that point is the fact that if we were to lose those 3 big players, I would argue that FSG, this will be probably one of the first summers where they're going to have to think big, because I would argue over the past few years, we have been replacing squad players that are cogs in the wheel, players that have been, good servants to the club, but not necessarily doing the numbers of Mo Salah, doing the numbers of, Virgil van Dijk, Alisson, Trent. These 4, in my opinion, that's the real test is going to be when you're going to have to replace these players with figureheads again, because I think for the last few years, we've just been replacing squad players that have kind of come in and done a particular job.
It is an exciting time, I believe, anyway. Either way, whether we bring in, because we don't know what a slot player looks like, really, because he's taken on Klopp's players and coached them to the level that he wants to, or the style that he wants to, and got them playing. But we proper don't know what a slot signing looks like. And I'm intrigued to see this summer. And I agree. Look, we all have transfers. We all like, a bit of refreshing of the squad. And we were slightly disappointed that we didn't get not much done. In fact, Chiesa and the goalkeeper. But like we've explained, Roms, welcome to the stream. We're just talking about sort of how the season started and how it's got us feeling good without being spectacular, without making courageous signings, without being all over the billboards, without being the talk of the town. We've just quietly, efficiently gotten with our business, and with the envy, dare I say it, of every single club in Europe as of today, 22nd of January. There is no club that is better positioned in any of their leagues, in all of the competitions, including injuries, than Liverpool Football Club right now, Roms. So it must be a pleasure. And I know you're on various shows and various channels. It must be a pleasure being a Liverpool fan right now, and so calm, because that's what we were trying to talk about before you came.
100%. And I actually want to add on to what Cav said. The fact that he's basically been dealt a hand and he's been dealt a squad, and he hasn't really brought in much players, Chiesa and a keeper that's coming in next summer. I think that's the excitement of it. The fact he's not even brought in his own players. So we're seeing what he can do with players that were given to him. Imagine when he brings in his own players that he's identified, that the staff has identified. I think it's exciting times, honestly. And look, I made a bold prediction before he even got even once he got appointed, that I think we'll be very successful in the Champions League and go all the way and win it. Some people thought it was a bit obnoxious, it was out of the ordinary, but we're Liverpool and we have the romance, regardless of the manager and personnel. We normally do well in that competition. But I'd be lying to you if I thought the league, we would be where we are in the league. I would be lying to you. It's absolutely exceptional, and it's the variation we have of playing. We always look comfortable. Yeah, we might have conceded the odd goal here and there, but it's like he has so many different ways to skin a cat, and I think that was most evident in the Brentford game. It was been evident all season, to be fair, but the Brentford game as well. And I can't lie, I think this manager can take us to heights. I'm not going to say the same heights that Klopp possibly did, but heights near that, maybe even the level below, because I think we've got a great manager. And this is why sometimes you do have to just trust the club, because he wasn't even on my shortlist. I wasn't even aware of him. I wasn't aware of him at all. Mine was the lad at United and Flick, and you saw what Flick's doing at Barca, not defensively the best, and you've seen what Amorim's doing at United. Sometimes you actually just have to trust the club. I know FSG get a lot of slack, but you also have to give them credit where it's due, because they're the ones bringing in the managers. They have the final say on most things. So in the same breath you're going to diss them, you have to applaud it them as well. So yeah, I can't lie. It is amazing being a Liverpool fan at the moment. Amazing.
It's comfortable, guys. That's the one word I'd use to describe how I feel going into every game, listening to the manager, looking at the players. Like, as I said, sitting right now, January 22nd, 2025, name me a club that's better positioned in any sense, whether it's injuries, whether it's their league position, their cup position, Champions League position. We're literally on top of everything right now. And look, nothing is achieved yet, but you don't achieve things without laying foundations. It's impossible to have success without laying the right foundations. And I think he's laid the right foundations. I wanted to not so much talk about yesterday's game in sort of isolation in terms of incidents, because I personally, Keith, when I say I didn't care about the game too much, I was looking forward to it because Liverpool are playing. I just wanted no injuries. And then I wanted no injuries. And then thirdly, I wanted no injuries. Like, that's how important I saw the game or relevance of the game. I just wanted no injuries. We spoke about Curtis Jones, possibly being the only downside of things. But just very briefly about the game, I thought, again, Lille, unbeaten in 21 games. A very, very well-coached, drilled, organized team with obviously starman Jonathan David up front. They've got that DM, forgot his name, the captain, Andre in midfield. And they've got a couple of players who really impressed. But like I was telling Cav, or I can't remember who I was telling, we made them look so ordinary and calm. Everything was under control. And I love our patience now, Keith. I tweeted it at halftime. I said, there's no way Lille will be able to keep up this intensity and energy and pressing. They're used to playing in Ligue 1. This is Premier League. We're used to cats coming at us like this. They're not. Because what we're about to dish out, they're not going to be able to handle. We didn't even need to raise our levels, Keith. That's how comfortable it was. It was second, third gear max.
The one thing that I wanted to see in this game was just how we can win a game of football professionally. The biggest compliment that Liverpool could have gotten yesterday was actually from TalkSport. I believe it was from Jason Cundy when he started talking about how Liverpool are boring. Yeah. Last season, I used to say it time and again, Liverpool are the great entertainers.
Yeah, you hated it.
Game, I did not like it. We're entertaining, with value. Like, you want to get a season ticket, they should have tripled the price of season tickets. You would have had fans from all countries coming to watch a Liverpool game because it was so entertaining, end to end, open. Team has 10 chances, we have 20 chances. It was like that. You don't win trophies being the great entertainers in today's football, right? You win trophies by being methodical, by being patient, by not necessarily, but by slowing the ball down. Yeah, it wasn't a game that you're going to tell your kids about. But what it was when we did get the opportunities to score goals or turn it up a notch, we did just that. And I think that is probably one of the scary signs for the rest of Europe right now, is the fact that now it's taken them since last season, is now this squad of players are capable of putting performances together like this. And we're going to need performances like this. We're going to need to have games at Anfield where it's going to be a professional game, where we're going to have teams that are going to come to Anfield. We're going to be playing the likes of Bournemouth. We're going to be playing the likes of, I think we've got Brighton. We've still got to go to, we're going to have games where we're just going to have a professional, normal 3 p.m. kickoff, get the job done, take your chances when they come, and then walk out of there. It was the same when we won the league title. In the league title run, you cannot tell me that we had a lot of entertaining games. A lot of those games were professional 1-0, 2-0 victories. So now the squad is showing it has it in them to be able to do this. And even if we might get a little setback, I still think the goal that we conceded is a symptom of a little bit of naivety, a bit of anxiety when everything's going well, and then suddenly the team just switches off. You know, if I look at that goal that Lille scored, there were 4 Lille players in and around the box, and there was 8 Liverpool players, and yet still they managed to score a goal. So there's a few things like that where I think sometimes this group of players might switch off a little bit. It's something that Arne Slot actually talked about when he first started. He's talked about it with Trent. Actually, I found that interview he did with Rio, where he was very, very honest about the fact that Trent, yes, at times he does switch off. I don't think that's just a Trent thing. I think there's a number of players that have come into the squad over the last couple of years that can have that switch off moment. So
we've seen it, but we've seen it. It's very apparent in Virgil's body language.
Yes.
Especially this season, he's forever telling individuals, and he's not shy, because sometimes you don't want to do it in front of the cameras because it might pick up on certain issues you may have with certain players, and you know how the media likes to make something bigger than it really is. But Virgil don't care. Like, if he needs to have a go at Tsimikas, he tells Tsimikas. Even if it's Robbo, a senior player, he'll tell Alisson. We've seen him have a go at Alisson, whatever. So I love that about Virgil. But do you know what it is, guys? Cav and Roms and Keith, we know about Mohamed Salah's season. We've spoken about Virgil's season. We've spoken about the big dogs, Trent, you know, time to time. I wanted to focus a bit of the show now on sort of the squad players that I feel as though every time they step in, guys, they make a difference. And for me, a strength of a squad is always not about how much you paid for them and what their names are on the bench, but what impact they have on games. And if we look at our last 3 fixtures, for example, it's the players that have come in either as subs or as replacements for the players that they took places of the team spot that have made the difference. That bodes so well for team harmony, player management, like sort of Slot again, cap on head. And we'll start off with Curtis Jones. Now, we know he got injured, but I thought he gets the assist, obviously, for the first goal. I think this competition that he's got with Szoboszlai, you can imagine it in training. They don't show it because he's very friendly, Curtis Jones, but it's driving him on to perform when he steps on that pitch. And I thought even before that, I thought he was doing very, very well. Obviously, the biggest problem we all have with Curtis Jones is the timing of releasing of the pass or the ball. But I see him getting better personally.
Yeah, well, the thing is with Curtis Jones, when he's fit and available and he puts a run of games together, we quite often find ourselves sitting here saying, wow, Curtis is having a really great impact on the team. And then an injury happens or an unfortunate circumstance that means he can't play, and then he's having to find his feet again. And he always steps in and does well. It's that ball retention thing that he doesn't have the quickness of mind, the quickness of thought, and the sharpness until he's played his 3rd, 4th kind of game. But he has contributed, like I say, with goals and assists and overall sort of functioning of the midfield when he puts a run of games together. He's a very good player. You know, it's call a spade a spade. He is a very good player. He's not the star of the show. He's probably not going to reach to the heights of the legends that have gone before him. But in terms of when we talk about a squad game, homegrown, local lad, works hard, keeps the ball well, can contribute with goals and assists at times, gets on with everybody in the squad. You watch the inside training videos. He's always there having a laugh and a joke with everybody. He's acted as a bit of an interpreter for Nunes since he's been here. And all of those things go a long way to building a squad, right? And he's certainly worth his low pay packet in respect to footballers that he's paid at Liverpool. And I thought he did play well yesterday up until the injury. The assist was great. He wins the ball back in his first thought. I mean, it's subconscious now. If you win the ball in the midfield after winning a challenge or however it comes about, Mo's on the move. Pick your head up. Just pick your head up and he's moving. Just find the pass. And then the weight of ball was great. Put him central to the goal. I thought the keeper was pretty terrible. Ran out and then did nothing. But Salah took it away well. But he took it away well. And really, there was only one finish for him because Curtis Jones gave it in with almost a message of, here, I'll go and finish that. That's how good the ball was. So fair play to him for demonstrating that quality as well. But you talk about the squad, you could say maybe the Accrington Stanley game, you could say in yesterday's game, and there's been other games gone by where you feel like Slot could rotate a little bit more. And he hasn't, he's done it. He's direct fed players in. You know, in some games I've kind of questioned, could Endo come on a bit earlier? Could Elliott come into this game? Why haven't we seen Chiesa yet? And stuff, this and that. But one thing that's not happened is nobody's moaned. Nobody's come out and said anything. No, you've not seen any sort of unrest. You've not seen any kind of subliminal stuff online from these players that aren't particularly getting many minutes. Everybody seemingly is really bought into what Liverpool are doing and bought into what this manager is telling them, which is, in my opinion, your time will come. Your moment will come this season. Don't you worry. And as you see now, Elliott, who's not played a lot of football, I think could have played more minutes since coming back from his injury, comes on yesterday, scores, and then he's an option for the weekend and seemingly in a good moment again. Endo comes on, puts in a good shift, you know, and seems pretty, you know, calm on the ball, can do a job there, you know. So Bradley comes back from his timeout, steps in and puts in a really good performance. So
this is it. This is exactly what I was saying.
These players are just slowly being dripped into by Slot, slowly buying into his ideas, contributing. They have no negative impact when they come into the side. And everybody's slowly getting their minutes. And with the style of play that we have, that rotation, that control, that calmness in games means that we're going to hopefully have an end to a season, which we didn't have under Klopp too often, where we've got energy still. We've got energy. We've got sharpness. We're not dragging ourselves across the end of the line in May. Actually, we're sprinting on through the finish line because we've still got energy. So his utilization of the squad is very good. And let's not forget as well, this is his first season with Slot. I know things have been really successful so far, but he is still getting his ideas across. He is still trying to, you know, get the players to buy into what he's doing, understand what he wants from them. And the only way he can do that is by trying to play as many games as possible with the same amount of players so that they can build chemistry and build harmony on the pitch. And I think he's handled all of that to this point brilliantly well. And yesterday just goes to show somebody who's not had as many minutes in Curtis Jones because Szoboszlai has been the go-to option, still can step in and still can contribute and still can walk away. You know, yes, he gets injured, but can be proud of what he contributed to yesterday's game. And that's why I think Liverpool are so well set to win trophies this season, because everybody in the squad is being utilised well enough and is contributing well enough.
Roms, it's almost scary, Roms, because it's too perfect at the moment. We're almost like, this can't carry on. Like the squad harmony, every player stepping in makes a difference. Nunes, Chiesa against Brentford. Nunes, Chiesa, Elliott against Brentford. Curtis Jones, Bradley, Tsimikas yesterday. The game before, I remember as well now. Changes, making everything that everyone that comes in makes a difference and makes it vying for their place. But Slot's had to do this, hasn't he? Like people are saying, oh, there should be more rotation, and I get frustrated as well. There's not more frustration. But when you're in that high pressure situation and you're on top of the league and you're winning games and you can't even afford a draw or whatever, you've got to go with your trusted. He doesn't really know who's his trusted. Like he's still working out his trusted. All he knows is Alisson, Trent, Virgil, Salah, and McAllister, I'd say, are his absolute trusted. The rest, fight for your place, homies. Play your football. Prove to me that you're my trusted moving forward. And that's the scary part. He doesn't know he's trusted, probably. He's working out his best 11 as he goes along.
Do you know what I'd say, Grizz, though? Wouldn't you say this myth about he doesn't rotate? He does. He just doesn't rotate the nucleus of the team. I think it's the midfield he doesn't really rotate. But if you look at forward areas...
He does subtle rotation.
Yeah, subtle changes. And even fullbacks, it will be Tsimikas or horses for courses. It will be Tsimikas some games, Trent some, Robbo some games, and with Bradley and Trent, predominantly Trent. But you'll see Bradley come into the team here and there as well. But I think you're spot on, Chris, because I think with Slot, it's not even just the changes, it's the timing of the changes as well. Because we spoke after the Brentford game when Thomas Frank made that positive change, taking off Janhel and brought on a striker against a team of our caliber. I was like, hold on, that we needed to make changes earlier. But Slot counteracted that change, bringing on the double change of Elliott and Chiesa, I believe, or did Chiesa come on after? But he made a double substitution to go for the games. Like, hold on, you want to go for the game against us? I'm going to counteract that and go for the game against you. And that was a spell of a game where it was starting to get a bit end to end. It was kind of the last 10
basketball.
Yeah, and I thought you're actually just a genius, and he's been doing this all season. To be fair, and I've
Yes.
always said a good hallmark of a manager as well. And I know it seems quite obvious is improving players, because there is 4 players I actually want to outline, and we spoke about one of them already. Curtis Jones. I actually disagree with this notion that he's held on to the ball a lot this season in isolation. I think past seasons, yes, but if you remember when he first came in, Jones was playing off one touch. It's kind of creeped back into his game again, but he was actually playing off one touch, keeping it ticking. And I remember saying to my mates, is this the same CJ that we've been looking at the last 4 or 5 seasons? He was doing everything quick, but it's kind of creeped in his game, I'd say, since he's come back from that minor injury. But there's another 3 players I want to actually outline where I have to give Slot big credit for. And before I start this, the quality was there with them 3 in Gravenberch, Diaz, and Konate. The quality was already there. But I think Konate, I've always said, quality's there, one of the best centre-backs in the world. But for me, he was very rash. Sometimes he wasn't intelligent. He would engage when he didn't have to. I remember there was a game that's always prevalent in my memory where we played Arsenal last season, and he's given away a foul, and Gabriel scored early, and then we were chasing the game essentially after a game we should have won. But that's many examples where he was engaged when he didn't have to. Slot put his arm around him, and he's ousted that out of his game this season, in my opinion. He is now, I've always said he can be a bit rash. He's ousted that out of his game. Gravenberch, again, a player I've always saw the quality of with that we signed him, but he hardly got game time. I think him being his compatriot as well, being from the same country, makes that relationship easier, I would say. But we're seeing a whole nother level. A role that let's be honest, a majority of our families didn't feel he could play. I always saw Gravenberch a bit advanced, but the way he just collects it off the back too, and everything just goes through him, I think he's gone up another level. And I'm going to say Luis Diaz, because Luis Diaz tends to start a lot of seasons well. And let's be honest, there's factors though. Obviously, the unfortunate thing with his dad, I remember he got an injury that kept him out majority of the season. But Luis Diaz never really sustains form. The quality player, but he's found it tough sometimes to sustain form throughout a season. He has this year. And I think there are 4 key players that I look at and think, you're just a genius, because they were already quality, but you've just put them to that next level. So big up Slot, honestly. But yeah, our squad, like you said, Chiesa coming into the fold, which I think he can play a massive part. We're forgetting he was one of the best players in Europe a couple seasons ago. Injuries haven't really been in his favor, but I think he can play a massive part if he stays fit. We already know what Diogo Jota could do. Nunes, again, not his biggest fan, but again, he brought him on, scored the two goals for us. I just feel like Slot's knowing when to use the squad and the timings of the substitutions, because there's times I thought they've been a bit late. But what do I know? That's why he's the manager, and we seem to be prevailing most times. So he's quality.
Can I add just as well, because you highlight about 4 players there? I want to add a 5th, and it's Gakpo, right? The thing that's so refreshing about Slot is sometimes he just says things as they are, and he just does things as simply and as basically as they need to be. He's seen that Gakpo is better as a left winger in his time before Liverpool, his time for the Netherlands. Obviously, he's moved around for the Netherlands a little bit, but his best performances have come left wing. And I know circumstances dictated that Klopp needed to play Gakpo in midfield at times as a false 9, at times because we're short on numbers in them areas. But he's come in and just gone, you're a left winger, play left wing. Simple decision. Let's not confuse things. Let's not, try and achieve many different things. You're a left winger, perform as you want to as a left winger, right? And he's contributed so well, and the thing that's refreshing in his actions, right, in terms of them selections and stuff. But even the way he speaks, you said it earlier, Keith, you referred to the documentary Rio where he talks about Trent. He's saying exactly what most fans are thinking. It's like, yeah, Trent's lazy at times. Trent, even in training, sometimes he trains knowing that he's already played 200 games for Liverpool, and that's who he is. He doesn't shy away from these conversations. Of course, sometimes he chooses his words. Well, he always chooses his words very carefully to protect the players and protect the club, but he doesn't shy away from conversations. He's willing, and it's quite refreshing to hear that he just speaks so openly and honest, because it connects with his fans, because we're not stupid. We can see these things for ourselves. And sometimes I felt like under Klopp, the emotion was great. The whole story under Klopp was great, but at times it was a bit like blurred thinking, blurred vision. It was too emotional. It clouded some of the decisions that were being made. And Slot's felt like a little bit of a breath of fresh air, because he's come in and just gone, that's black and white. It's an elite mentality. You do this, you do this. We change things if we have to, but let's not over confuse things. You're good enough players, and we've got good enough tactics to run with that and win. We don't need to blur the lines between what we expect from people.
Can I actually add on to that? And I feel like Slot's personality is a reflection on how we play.
Oh, absolutely.
And this is no shade on Klopp at all. But like you said, where Klopp was very emotional towards the end of last season and a few seasons before that, it was reflected how we played as well. Everything gung-ho and going for the jugular. And like you said, we didn't have the energy to replicate what Klopp wanted to do. And Klopp himself was quite emotional, where Slot's very calm, reserved, very honest in interviews, and it's reflected how we play. We're very calm, we're very efficient, we're very controlled, and that's how he speaks, and that's how he is as a manager. And I feel like it's reflected. That's a very good point.
You guys have tried your best to navigate away from the agenda I had in my mind about the players that I wanted to speak about.
We do try. We do try,
yeah. But I'm way too old and shrewd for you guys. I'm going to bring it back to the agenda, and what I wanted to talk about was the squad play.
Talk. I'm here for it. Let's go.
I mean, the squad players. You guys have mentioned obviously the likes of Diaz, Konate, Gravenberch, and all have had amazing seasons. But we touched upon Jones, who's pretty much a squad player. We've touched upon sort of Bradley and Endo as well. We'll talk about his cameo. But the title of the show was Harvey Elliott is going nowhere. And Keith, Harvey Elliott, in my opinion, needs to be spoken about and praised. I keep getting shocked to the system when for some reason, I don't know why. It's because he's been around for so long. I keep forgetting he's 21 years old. Like, we look at 21-year-old, he's 21. So we look at players
23 or 24.
This is my point, this is my point. I keep forgetting he's 21 years old. And you look at all the players that have got this reputation all around the world. Anyone, Odegaard, I'm not just picking on Arsenal players. Arda Güler, for example, from Real Madrid. Help me out here. There's other players at all other clubs, people are talking about, raving about. Yet this guy, I feel, is not raved about enough. He's young, he's English, he loves Liverpool Football Club. And every time he's asked to do something, he does it. He doesn't play many minutes. He hasn't played many minutes. He's had 2 horrific injuries in his career already. We know about the breaking of the ankle. We saw it live on TV against Leeds United. But this guy needs to be praised, in my opinion, Keith. I don't know if you agree. I've always said he should be kept. Now, my biggest gripe, guys, and I wanted to get your gauge and opinion on this, is there's this phenomenon now on social media, Twitter, whatever, that if a guy is not playing as much, he needs to be sold. Like, there's no understanding of what a squad means. Like, to have a squad, like I said at the start of the show, it's all about having a happy squad, because team harmony takes you a long fucking way. Trust me. It ain't all about having great players as subs, but 3 or 4 of them are assholes. Trust me, it does nothing for the betterment of the club overall. This guy is already at 21, coming across as a team member, a squad member, a happy one. And dare I say it, Keith, he's showing true levels of professionalism at the age of 21. I think he's an absolute diamond for Liverpool Football Club.
I think there's a lot of clubs that you mentioned that would be, that would love to have an option like Harvey Elliott off the bench. I hear about other clubs complaining about.
Starts from majority, bro.
Yeah, but a lot of them have. You've got your kind of like your starters or your star man, but so many people constantly talk about, look, we don't have players off the bench that could make a difference in the type of positions that Harvey Elliott picks up. I hear Arsenal fans complaining about it with regards to Odegaard. What is the option for someone like Chelsea when Cole Palmer goes? A club like Man United doesn't even have a talent of the skill of Harvey Elliott other than Bruno Fernandes. He's within these kind of options. So, it's the fact that we have him as an option to change a game is pretty significant. And he would probably be even more steps ahead if it wasn't for the unfortunate injuries that he's picked up. The 2 injuries he's really had has kind of kept him out for multiple months. My biggest compliment I can give to Harvey Elliott is he's a player that looks like he's always working on the training ground to do things better. There's qualities to his game that I see him do that I didn't see him do last year. Or he'll take certain shots on goals, score certain goals that I'm like, you didn't do that 6 months ago, 8 months ago. You know, he comes onto the pitch for 45 minutes. You know, there's 2 cameo appearances that have effectively changed the game. You know, he comes on for 45 minutes. That pass that he plays to Luis Diaz was absolutely phenomenal. And it ultimately made the Lille defender make a decision that got him sent off. That was a big game-changing moment, and that was due to the quality. Now, have I seen Harvey Elliott put slip-through passes from that kind of position in the pitch previously? Maybe people might have clips. I don't remember him doing something like that, but I see him doing it more. That pass he played against Brentford, so cute, so intelligent. It just seems that he's always working on himself to develop his game, to add new strings to his bow. You know, my only like criticism, it's not even a criticism because you're either born with it or you're not. Is if he had pace, then we'd be talking about him in a whole different stratosphere. But he's got work rate. He's a hard worker. He's a hard-working individual. He buys into the ethos of the club. And I think what's lucky for us as a club is that he came in at a time when, you know, we were brilliant, you know, we were world beaters, and he soaked that in, that hard work, that running. You know, he's always had the talent, and he could have probably dined off that talent for many years in the Championship coming up. Maybe he could have gone to a club like Bournemouth, Brighton, etc. But he, in fact, let me step back. He is that type of player that you would find at a Bournemouth or a Brighton, killing it there, and then clubs are like, yeah, 50, 60, 70, 80 million quid to get him. But we've been shrewd enough to get him before he became the Brentford or the Bournemouth mega sell that he is. So this is the biggest compliment I can give him. He's very professional. He speaks very well. I thought, you know, his interview yesterday was class. You know, very well-spoken individual, very humble. And I just would like to see him knocking on that door in the next couple of years. But he's got time. You know, I'm not the biggest believer. You know, like I feel, you know, we live in a world of overconsumption, and obviously football. We discussed at the start of the show. You know, we consume football content and information like hours and hours on the day, and I think we kind of push always that, well, if he's not Cole Palmer or Lamine Yamal at 21, then he's already a flop, or he's already not good enough to start. Harvey Elliott, in the position that he's playing in currently and what he's been asked to do, he might not peak for another 4 or 5 years, right?
Absolutely.
Players like him only start to get to that level when they get to 25, 26, when the game slows down in their head, and they're, you know, like an Odegaard. Odegaard is a great example. Odegaard was the talk of the town, young talent. Like this was the guy when he was Harvey Elliott's age, gets to move to Real Madrid, gets injuries, doesn't work out. It's only now, I mean, Odegaard must be in his mid to late 20s now. It's only now that we're talking about him as one of the best players in the Premier League. So, you know, Harvey Elliott's got time on his hands, but while he's got that time, he's using it effectively. And
you can see the learning of Mohamed Salah. You can see their relationship and how he listens to Mohamed Salah so carefully. And I wanted to, like, sticking with Harvey.
One thing I just wanted to add before you went, just one thing. I think he's going to benefit more now from a manager that actually likes a number 10 style player. Like, you know, like that Szoboszlai, what he's doing with Szoboszlai, giving him more freedom to be more creative.
Well, this is what I was going to say, Keith. This is what I was going to ask you guys, right? And Cav and Roms, I wanted to stick with Harvey Elliott chat for the last few minutes because, and I'm guilty of this myself, first and foremost. So always look at yourself first, right? I always think this Premier League, you need pace, power, strength. And then if you've got skill, that's a mad bonus, right? But here's the throwback, isn't it? Where his king elite, his powers are all about touch, control, balance, passing, breaking lines. Now, we know, and we've all watched, me, probably I'm going back a little while. You guys can obviously use Odegaard, Bernardo Silva, other Silva, Juan Mata.
Yeah.
Right? Now, they've all had successful Premier League careers. Why don't we think like that when it comes to Harvey Elliott and think, no, because I still feel we're still thinking Jurgen Klopp team, and he doesn't fit a Jurgen Klopp team. I genuinely think there's a place and a strong place in the squad. I don't mean he's number 16, 17 in the squad. I think he's in that 15, 14 man squad, which can be utilized week upon week because of the style that Slot believes in. But is there a doubt in your guys' minds about Harvey Elliott's future at Liverpool under Slot? Whoever wants to take it first.
Do you know what? I was speaking to my boy about this late last night after the Lille game. I think you're bang on, Harvey Elliott, and this isn't anything on him. I feel like Keith was saying, we consume a lot of football right now, and everyone, like you said, Grizz, as well, people are accustomed to pace and power with the current Premier League. But unfortunately for him, he would be appreciated in another era. Even if you look at the late 2010s, the early 2010s, right, where you had the Juan Matters, the Ozils and whatnot, because they had industrious players around them. They had that luxury of, I'm not saying not to work hard, because every footballer obviously has to work hard, but do you know what I mean? They could probably work hard a bit less because they're giving their other qualities to the team, where it might be that killer pass or that elegancy of putting it top corner. I just feel like, going back to what Keith said, I think because we've got a manager that likes that 10, I think it's a thing where Harvey will have to be patient. My only little worry is, though, yesterday is a game where I did think he was nailed on to start. And when I saw him not in that 11, I thought, not to say he doesn't have a future, Liverpool, because I think he does have a future, but I'm now starting to think, even when you've got opportunities to start, would he still opt with another player and still use you as that impact card? Because sometimes in football, a manager can rate you, but not necessarily as a starter. And some people might be like, well, he doesn't rate you. It's like, no. You always get game time, but at a specific time of a game. And that's now what I'm starting to think with Harvey. But like you said, some footballers peak at different ages. I couldn't believe he's 21. When you said he's 21, my jaw dropped. I thought he was maybe 23, 24, a couple years off entering his peak. He is still a kid, essentially. And he just has to be paid. That's what the information you gave me, Grizz, is it's made me more assured that he does have a future, because he just has to be more patient. And Slot, I think, is that manager that will be very honest with him. But I think now we're entering the time of the season where we're in all 4 competitions. I don't think Slot really wants to risk him. And I can only really see him playing in the FA Cup game, because he did start against Accrington, didn't he? I think that was his last start. But I feel like Champions League and Prem, we're not going to see him start. We just have to be honest. Even Carabao against Spurs, that we should get the job done. But I still think he would want to go with a strong team, and I think it will be good for him to get in a final your first season at the club. But I can only really see him starting FA Cup games, and that's fine, because maybe in his season 2, season 3 of Slot, he starts to recognize you as a starting player. But yeah, you just have to be patient with him. Just have to be patient.
You don't have to be, but this is my point, guys. You don't have to be a starter. How many league-winning squads have we seen? The likes of Foden. Let's use the most recent example. Pep Guardiola used him sparingly for so many seasons before he became a linchpin. Even he never became a linchpin. He still rotates him randomly, And Phil Foden. We know so many for the famous United team. They had so many squad players, man. So many that came in, done a job, out again. Squad. And Harvey Elliott, 21, same age. I mean, you've put in the private chat, same age as Bradley and Quansah, guys. Like, these players are absolutely at the right age, doing the right thing, in my opinion. Go on, Mons.
Just to chime in, Keith was spot on, right? Harvey, and this is testament to Harvey. He was actually, I think it was start of 21, 22 when he got that horrific injury. He was already, I think Klopp actually had him as a starter until he got that injury. Because if you remember, I think it was the start of the 21 to 22 season. He started like 3-4 games consecutively as a starter. Then he got that horrific injury. And look, we're saying he's 21 now. Back then he would have been 18, 19. So that's testament to his quality. So I just think
it's unfortunate for him he got them injuries. I think if he can have 2 or 3 injury-free seasons, I think we'll see him a starter in Slott's team. I'm confident of it.
The thing, Keith said it, and I think this is why he hasn't been put into the side yet, because Liverpool have been winning this season largely because of what Szoboszlai has given us, right? Work rate, tracking back, covering ground for people, aggressive in the challenge, winning the ball back, then ball recoveries. You've seen it again yesterday. The amount of times that our midfield lost the ball and Szoboszlai's on hand there, aggressive in the challenge to win the ball back. He's been an enabler for our side to go and win games this season. So he's going to be very reluctant to bring that out the side. You've seen the impact that was had on the Liverpool team when Szoboszlai was out through illness. But so that's going to be Elliott's challenge. But what I would say is Szoboszlai's ceiling, in my opinion, is very high. I think he's great as a player. I think we can get more out of him, more goals, more assists, third man runs into the box, getting on the end Lampard-esque, getting goals, shots from outside the box with his accuracy and the power in his shots, maybe drifting out wide and putting some good crosses in and stuff. There's so many aspects to Szoboszlai's game that can improve, that he can still cement that Liverpool number 10 position for years to come. But what Szoboszlai has is a vast range of ability, and he needs to improve them all. Whereas what Elliott has is less range in ability, but that almost focuses on him for what he needs to develop and what he needs to do. And one thing that you said, Keith, was that he seems to be really well educated and willing to learn the game. He's going to need to be like that, because part of the reason he has been coming on as a sub is because he's watching the game. He's seeing where the space is, and he's coming on and he's doing the basic passing, but he's in the right position to be able to play that through ball, to be able to play that simple pass to create the chance. I mean, the pass he plays to Trent that ultimately ricochets and then comes back to Nunes and we get the winner against Brentford only happened because he was in the position and he had the calmness of mind in the latter stages of the game to just play that through ball. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't try to shift it and shoot. Don't try to do step overs. Don't try to be the hero. Come in, find space and play that simple game, because that feeds into what your ability is, which is a very good short range of passing, right? But I think as many goals as Liverpool score and as many chances that we create, I actually don't think that we're that great up top, to be honest with you. And go with me on this. I think that we create so many chances because of our enthusiasm, because of our ability individually and our physical attributes, right? But I think as a unit, as a forward unit, I think that we can improve so much. And it may just take a player like Harvey Elliott, who plays in an Odegaard-esque way, where it's like, I'm not going to do the sprints. I'm not going to do the rapid runs. I'm not going to do the 80-yarders in transition. But what I am going to do is I'm going to shift between the lines. I'm going to find pockets of space, and I'm going to just get the ball and give it and allow you guys to do the running, allow you guys to be picking up the ball in areas where you can get that shot away. I'm going to do the simple stuff around the 18-yard box. And I think personally, if he improves on the ability that he's already got, doesn't try to expand his range, just improve on that ability, he can become that Odegaard, David Silva-esque player where you're like, he's not quick. He's not playing 60-yard passes. He's not beating a man. He's not doing a step over. He's not flary. He's not scoring a lot of goals, but he always seems to be in the right place at the right time, playing the right simple passes that enables the rest of the talent that's around him to go and showcase what they can do. So he can be an enabler in that respect. And it seems like he's going to get there because he has the right attitude. And you've seen it in yesterday's game. Obviously scores the deflected goals, who's contributed there. The game prior, finds the space, plays the pass, gets the pre-assist. Keep doing that, keep doing that, keep doing that. Get older and older and older. Break into the national team. Before you know it, you know what your game is based around. And then he can just excel in that. And like you said, I think under Slot, he's now got a manager, a style of play that's going to feed in to what he naturally wants to do. So I really like him. And you spoke about his leadership, or his progressing leadership abilities as well, and how he's just said, I'm here, I'm staying. He celebrated to say that extent. There's no doubt in his mind he wants to be a successful footballer at Liverpool, and I just think that he's got all the tools and all the people around him to be that success. And time will tell, time will tell. But I think that there is a place for him. He just needs to just needs to progress. And he needs to be given the chance. And he doesn't need to become Szoboszlai. He doesn't need to become Curtis Jones. He just needs to be the best Harvey Elliott. And that will be enough to get him in the Liverpool side.
I think all you can ask of youngsters or squad players is to keep improving. And there's no doubt in my mind, Harvey Elliott is improving all the time. And I think those traits that you spoke about, loves the club, wants to be here, dies for us, doesn't mind being the substitute. And it's not because he knows he's not good enough. He actually believes he's good enough. He's just humble enough to know that I'm 21. No problem. I've got 4 or 5 years to go yet. No problem. In this world where every youngster wants to play, otherwise knocking on agents and managers and coaches' doors, these things are invaluable, people. The traits and qualities that we've just spoken about in Harvey Elliott, Curtis Jones, Connor Bradley so far, Tsimikas, hats off to Tsimikas as well, who's been very patient in the background, a Greek international. These things, Kelleher could have gone easily, could have gone in the summer. Those 5-6 players that I've mentioned have been as important. And that's what I wanted to stress in today's show. I didn't want to talk about the usuals, the Virgils, the Salah goal, Trent's passing, Alisson's keeping, whatever. We know about them. They're legends. And we also know that the Diaz's and the Konates have improved, and Gravenberch, we've spoken about so eloquently and highly of this season. But I just wanted to have a show on the squad, like literally the squad players, the ones that have come in out of the cold many times, but performed and given the coach something to think about or work with. And I think we've had a good chat about that.
Can we take a moment just to say, whilst we're talking about youngsters, that game was massive for Quansah yesterday as well, because we all know pulled off first game of the season, comes in against Man City, plays at right back, had a few minutes, but not many. He put in 90-minute performance where he didn't put a foot wrong, and he's got that under his belt now, and he can progress from there. He's showcased to the manager, look, I can do it. Champions League against the top side in Lille, I can do it. I can step in. I can be that guy for you. And he's been able to do that in yesterday's game. So that's massive for his confidence, and massive for the confidence that he's going to instill in Slot to select him as well. So I think when we talk about youngsters, let's not forget how young Quansah is and how great he can be. And let's just accept that maybe his progression last season was a bit elevated, a bit shot forward because of circumstance. And actually, it's understandable that he's had some of the difficulties he's had this season. The off-field stuff's the off-field stuff. That's something different. But actually, hopefully now he can. I mean, obviously we all want to see Konate, but hopefully Quansah, when he plays, he can progress as that youngster and become that top centre back that we all think he's got the ability to become. So really important game for him yesterday. I'm not going to talk about Bradley because I think this kid's so special, and I every time he plays, I find myself speaking about him. So I'm gonna just save it for today.
Listen.
I was just going to say, Chris, just to quickly add on to that. I know some people might say it's because of Konate's Euro campaign, but if anything, he's reinstilled Slot's confidence, because let's have it right. I don't mean as a starter going forward, but now we can trust him in a few games, because let's have it right. He was the starting centre back against Ipswich, and say what you want, that was their first game in the Premier League after 20 years. You knew it would be a raucous atmosphere, and he actually opted for Quansah over Konate. I know some people say obviously Konate had a Euros, whatnot, but I just feel like he's now reinstilled, because like you said, comes on against Man City at right back. He has the first opening, I think 20-30 minutes against Spurs the other day. I think it was illness, but he's also a bit nervous. Now I think him putting that stellar performance, he's now gone to Slot. You know what? You once trusted me, you can trust me again. So I think you're spot on with that.
Quansah is the ultimate. There's so many. It's not just Quansah. So many youngsters are written off. Quansah is going to be fantastic, people. Just relax, for God's sake. Like, come on. The guy is a kid, literally a kid, from non-league football or lower league football to the echelons of Champions League and fighting for the league. Go on, Rom.
You know, Chris, before people lose their head, I'm not saying they're the same player, but stylistically, he's very similar to Matip. Quite elegant, will dribble. He'll start off attacks. He loves to break lines. He's very very similar.
As much as someone can be, I'm not sure anyone can replicate that Matip run with the ball.
Yeah,
to be honest,
of course, not exactly.
But check this out, guys. I'm telling you, I think he was better than Matip at that age. And I find him far more stronger and aggressive than Matip as well. So if he can have 70% of Matip's skills in terms of the skills that Matip had, which were elite, we've got one heck of a young centre-back. And he's a young centre-back. We talk about midfielders that peak when they're 25, 26.
Yeah,
Defenders definitely peak when they're 28, 27,
probably in their
29.
30s, probably beyond that, Grizz.
Yeah.
30s,
So people just need to lay off the kid and let him focus on his game. And I thought yesterday he was focused and he looked the part. I know people are going to say it was only Lille. Well, hello, Jonathan David is the talk of the town. You know what I mean? Like everyone's talking about this Lille, this team. But
who should be talking of the town? Who's that centre back that at Lille? The guy that was doing step
Brazilian
overs and turns.
Yeah.
I liked him. Yeah, he was
not
decent
only
as well.
him.
But one thing about Quansah as well, when you're saying about people need to relax, I think we have to accept also that Quansah, what do you do in this scenario, right? Because obviously centre back is a talk of the town. Liverpool should go out into the market for a centre back. We should go and sign a centre back. We need a centre back, etc. I don't know if it's necessarily going to be helpful to sign a centre back to take away from Quansah's opportunities that he does get, because if we do sign a centre back to try and and have a fifth, I think we've got four options at the moment, and the fifth option, you're taking away his opportunity to learn, to make mistakes, and the mistakes for me are crucial to his development, because ultimately you have to make mistakes. You have to know that the coal is hot by touching it. You know what I mean? So that you never touch it again, right? It's that kind of level, and I think some of the negative things that have happened to Quansah are gonna, hold him in good stead for future performances, because he's gonna continue to learn. I think he's had probably, if you think about it, from all the centre backs that have played at that age for a club as big as Liverpool, it would be good to get some names of the last time you saw a defender playing in these high pressure, high cooker situations for a club that's aiming to win all the trophies at 21 years old and be thrown straight in.
People are talking about the fella at Barcelona, right? Kubarsi. I think he's fucking phenomenal, right? Kubarsi, right? 18 or 19-year-old.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
But look where Barcelona, look at the form of Barcelona, so hit and miss, right? They're not considered one of the best teams in Europe. They may be right now coming back into form, but I can't think of any other centre-back that is playing at the level of Quansah is, guys, especially the quality and the titles that we're fighting for. I genuinely don't. Now, obviously, he's not a regular member. Again, he doesn't have to be a regular member of the first 11. He just needs to be learning. He just needs to be learning. He was in the quad last season. He was part of the quad squad, that faltered only in February, March time. So look, Samuel's mentioned Colwill. Look at Colwill and Chelsea compared to where Liverpool are in terms of levels. Do you get my point? And Colwill's a wonderful young centre back.
But Colwill got the opportunity to shine at Brighton.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Quansah didn't get the opportunity to shine at Brighton, at a Bournemouth, at Southampton.
Again, the Bournemouth centre-back people are talking about, but again, look at the levels Bournemouth are playing at, the expectations Bournemouth's fans or the club as a whole. Quansah is the spotlight. He's playing in the biggest club in world football at that age, playing next to Virgil, sometimes without Virgil. So people need to just trust him. And I think we've got an absolute gem on our hands, like we've mentioned all the others. And as I said, special shout out to Tsimikas. We haven't had a chance to focus on him, especially with all the furore around left backs, transfers, bringing a left back. I thought Tsimikas showed, I think, why we won't dip or why we won't pay over the odds in this month. We will address it in the summer. Guys, I've enjoyed the chat. Roms, thank you. Cav, of course, Keith, and chat. I understand you lot are watching Champions League tonight, but I hope you guys who have been loyal to us and not watched PSG. Who wants to watch PSG? People are telling us about PSG. Even Keith's getting excited in the chat.
It was offside.
Man City are none of our business. I keep telling you, mans. They're none of our business. I'm telling you. But I know what you mean. It's all about who we could play next, possibly. And they're in that area lurking where it could be PSG, it could be Real Madrid, it could be one of these big hitters, So it's mad. Even though we finished first or possibly second, but probably first, we could get one of the big hitters because they're struggling, but we're relaxing. We're coasting, we're relaxing, and we look forward to the next game. I believe, people, I've started the countdown. I've started it. I said 11 wins Saturday, last weekend. I'm telling you now, start the countdown with me. Be here. Feel this all the way home. I'm telling you, we're going to bring this home. God willing, if we handle the business that we're supposed to on Ipswich, that will mean 10 wins to go. 10 wins to go. I'm telling you, I've crunched every single number there is possibly to crunch. 10 wins will do it. Anyway, this has been Redfellas. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. Peace, love, and tranquility to you all. Keep supporting. Big up.